At a conference organized by the Institute of International Business and Governance at the Open University of Hong Kong, Ms. Venisa Chu, Senior Manager in the Sustainability Department of New World Development Company Limited, speaks on the topic of Environmental, Social, and Governance, or ESG. She discusses the New World Group's sustainability journey with a particular focus on charity, community initiatives, and employee engagement.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Open University of Hong Kong for inviting me to share New World story. I picked specifically this picture as a backdrop of my presentation. So for many of you that live in Hong Kong, you might know this area very well in Venisa Chu. I picked this particular picture because our company was founded in 1970. And in 1971, we bought this area and built New World Center. And in 2010, we decided to revamp the area. And it's been a long time in working that we're trying to build a new cultural destination called Victoria Dockside. So if some of you that are visiting Hong Kong for the first time, or if you'll return next year, it'll be ready and open in Q3 in 2019. So I'd like all of you to remember that for next year. And before I go further to share about the New World story, I think it'd be appropriate to share my own sustainability journey. For many people that have approached me or my teammates, they always think that people that work in sustainability might have a golden halo, or they wear a chip on their shoulder, they're trying to be saving the world, or they're just simply tree huggers. But we're not. Not very long ago, actually, I was an electrical engineer doing normal business. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that there was something more. And I wanted to marry impact, creating impact, positive impact into my work. And it wasn't until I found my current role in the Sustainability Department of New World that I think that I could actually do positive impact while doing business. So without further ado, I'd like to share a little bit more about how we transform our sustainability journey through innovation in New World. Every company has their corporate vision. And I'd like to highlight two words in our corporate vision, which is innovation and sustainable. You'll see a lot of companies, big or small companies, that will have a vision that make a difference, change the world. But not many will put sustainable and innovation within their vision. So really, within our corporate DNA, everybody in all across our products and services, we really believe in innovating and making sure that while we grow sustainably. But it's not an easy task, but we're committed to it. And through the last couple of years, our third generation, Dr. Adrian Chang, our current executive vice chairman of our company, have developed kind of a cultural vision for our company, and we want to extend this to our customers and stakeholders, which is called the artisanal movement. So if you see, even for the project that I've just shared at the Victoria Dockside or other projects, you'll see vision about artisanal movement. And what that is really to make sure that everybody that works in our company have the spirit of craftsmanship, really make bespoke services and products for our customers, and really just have the innovative spirit and the idea to always create new and sustainable solutions while we create our new services. So please take note of that. I think it's actually particularly inspirational for myself as I joined this company not too long ago. Many of our customers know us as a property developer, but we actually have a lot of different businesses. Beyond property development, we also manage our properties. So that is residential, commercial, and also mixed use, so even in retail as well. And also we have infrastructure and services, which means we operate ports and logistics management, and also even public transportation, so ferries and buses are also within our portfolio. And we own about, in 20 different cities in China, some department stores that we operate, and also hotels. Beyond that, we also have the construction arm, New World Construction, where we do construction for our own property development, and Hip Hing Construction for mostly government projects. And also retail, and we have just celebrated our 10th year anniversary for the K11 concept company, where we're still growing that portfolio both in Hong Kong and in China. So basically, we are in a lot of different businesses. We also own Gleneagles Hospital and also another Humanza, which is a well-being business. So we realize our footprint is very big, so that's why sustainability is something we work very hard across all of our business units. This is a picture where I wanted to show that Hong Kong is really known as a concrete jungle, and a lot of the energy consumption is really about electricity, and we realize that buildings consumes about 90% of electricity. And since we're a big property developer, we realize that we have the responsibility to ensure that we tackle anything related to energy and try to reduce the energy consumption within our portfolio. And on the flip side, there are a lot of requests from the investment community for us to be more sustainable, and also in terms of our yearly reporting in ESG, environmental social governance guidance, that there is more interest for us to be held accountable, to be more green and more socially responsible as well. So it's not just a trendy term, or it's not just something that we've committed to, but on the other side, the investors are also asking for it. So in the next 5 minutes, I'd like to jump into what innovation and sustainability really means at New World. In 2013, we started reporting our sustainability efforts and published our first report based on GRI standards. And subsequently, in 2015, we've tried to continuously innovate and professionalize our sustainability efforts, and listed in the Hang Seng Corporate Sustainability Index. And then last year, we created what we call New World Sustainability Vision 2030, and this references the UN Sustainable Development Goals, so that within our big portfolio of business, everybody knows the right direction to go and how they can contribute within their individual actions. And you can see we have a lot of bullet points in 2018. As we're closing the year, we still have a lot of work to be done. And at the board level and risk management perspective, we've also added ESG as part of it, so that at each level, top and bottom, we're covered in reviewing and continuously improving our sustainable efforts. And most notably, this year, we've also launched in March a green finance framework. So this is also referencing to what I've mentioned earlier from the investment community, their interest and our commitment in how we finance our buildings that are more green and environmentally sustainable. So in terms of our management approach, it's basically three-pronged. I and my teammates work in the New World Development Sustainability Department. So basically, we run all of the new innovations in sustainability and try to standardize across our group of businesses the direction to grow and so on. But we're also governed by a group sustainability steering committee, which is at the board level, to give us guidance in terms of their investor queries and also risk management policies. But we also have a group green task force, which is kind of the bottom-up approach, so that we hear from different, what we call PICs, so persons in charge from each business unit, so that from their unique perspective, what we can do better as a company and as a whole, so we can sum it up all together at the group level. At New World, we really listen to our customers. So you'll hear, if you have friends that work in New World, any of our companies, we always talk about VOC, and that's voice of customers. So whether you're our internal stakeholder, our business partner, our supplier, or our retail customers, we try to use different formats to hear from everybody to see what are their thoughts on how we're doing and try to implement it in our cycle of business. So I've mentioned in terms of operations and management, we try to understand from our supply chain partners whether our policies are relevant, whether there are things that we can help them out with for the policies that we implement on them. In terms of media, we want to engage with our customers in the wider audience. In terms of industry, we want to learn from other developers as well and other aspects of our business. They might have different counterparts. We also want to hear from them, and also our customers, even down to the tenant level, which I'll share a little bit more in detail later. So what is the New World Sustainability Vision 2030? It basically encompasses 4 pillars: green, wellness, smart, and caring. So under the green portfolio is rather obvious. We do, for all of our property development, we benchmark against international standards, and we acquire LEED, BEAM Plus, or in China, Green Star buildings to ensure that each element of our buildings at the onset of design, and when working with our architects, we think about how to build them more in a green sense. And green financing, I've already mentioned. And most recently, there are a lot of reports on how climate change is really wreaking havoc in our society. So how do our projects actually answer to that and adapt to that and mitigate climate risk is also something that we're really looking at. In terms of wellness, I'm not sure if anybody here have heard of WELL buildings. So beyond just green buildings, we really care about the people that use the buildings, our tenants and our customers. How do we help them create more wellness within their buildings? So it could be more natural light, better air quality, and so on. So we want to ensure that beyond just the facade, the inner buildings are also equipped to answer the wellness characteristic of the 4 pillars. And we are also in the wellness business, which I've mentioned in the hospital and the Rehabilitation Society. For smart, we also look into digitalization and smart and innovative solutions so that we ensure that we get a lot of different ideas and new ideas to solve traditional problems. So we're very open in terms of promotion of entrepreneurship. And caring, we want to work with our community and learn from even our customers, how we can do better in terms of sustainability. And encompassing all of that, we have quantitative targets to keep ourselves accountable under this SV 2030. So I wanted to share a few more concrete examples of how we do in each of the 4 pillars. So in terms of building, we have a high number of buildings that achieve international standards in BEAM, LEED, and China Green Building Evaluation Standard. So the right top picture is Hong Kong Sky Park in Mong Kok. So this is actually close to the Sneaker Street, if you're familiar with that. In the top area is actually a very open area, and we have incorporated solar panels so that we can create less demand on the energy consumption traditionally and operate the features on the rooftop through the solar energy. And you can see a lot of greenery in that area because we found that that community is missing a sort of green community area. And in the bottom right is our Hong Kong K11 Atelier Kings Road project, which is still not finished, but to be finished next year. We've achieved the world's first WELL Platinum pre-certification, and there are a lot of stringent criteria for us to be able to achieve that certification. So I think with that, we tried to benchmark against the international standards and bring it to Hong Kong, to our Hong Kong community. And in terms of addressing climate change, both in our China and Hong Kong projects, we try to employ some new and innovative solutions. So maybe many of you have heard of sponge cities. So basically, in the area that we build our buildings or mixed-use development, we try to ensure that the pavements that we build are porous so that it absorbs more water as if there are heavy rains or potential floods, and retain it in a retention pond so that it doesn't stress the entire community or the public pipes in the area, and so that we can reuse the water on site. So for the Canton First Estate project, which is already finished, it can process up to 4.45 million meter cubed of water each year so that it doesn't flush out to the rest of the system. And in the Ningbo New World project, we're also doing the same, and it'll be finished in 2020. closer to home in Hong Kong, out in Clearwater Bay in our residential project at Mount Pavilia, we also use the rainwater recycling. The system is highly efficient, so that gray water is 100% recyclable and used for irrigation within that project. In March, we launched our Green Finance Framework, and we have already issued our first green loan, also in March, and just most recently in November, our first green bond. So we reference international green bond principles to develop this framework with a third-party assurance, so to make sure that when we do our green projects, even on the financial side, we're held accountable for that. In terms of healthy buildings, I've mentioned a couple of times what healthy buildings means under the WELL certification is different criteria to ensure the interior area is good for you or anybody that used the building to flourish, and to make sure that all the air qualities and light and fitness and comfort are in mind while we build the buildings. So in terms of wellness, we are in the healthcare and medical businesses. So this is more about how we serve the community within our business portfolio. We also promote sports and social mobility. So most recently, back in October, we have the New World Harbor Race, and underpinning that, we actually run a New World Springboard program. So it's to help the underprivileged community to have social mobility through sports training, and we've been running that for a number of years. Humanza is our newest wellness business. It targets the Silver Age community and also rehabilitation. So we also bring that within our employee wellness activities, and we usually have access to volunteer in these activities or also use the facilities for ourselves. Under SMART category, digitalization is very popular amongst different companies, but with ours, we do it in several approaches. We do have an app called the Artisanal Living app that connects all our tenants and all our employees so that we can promote different sustainability and other business approaches so that it can be shared within the community. And within our company, entrepreneurship comes at different levels, mostly because we have a lot of millennial employees. So they're always willing to sharing their new ideas, but we need to give them a platform to do so. So we have actually very many different types of platform, one of which is called Incubation Circle. We've now changed it to Artisan Circle. Basically, if they have a solid business plan and a business idea, we give them different resources within our company because our businesses cover such a spectrum of different talents. We train them and actually give them money to realize their own ideas, whether it will feed back into a company or for them to grow elsewhere. And DigiTalent is another initiative that we've invested through our talent development program. So for any employees that are interested to learn digital skills, they can go through this DigiTalent program to be trained by our technical department staff so that they can learn the skills and then be put back into their businesses. So there are different ways for us to realize entrepreneurship within our company. As well, beyond how we look into our own employees and train them in terms of SMART, we also extend that to the wider community. So we have an arm called Eureka Nova, which is kind of an incubation vehicle for outside business ideas to go through our process to be supported through our business partners and our own employees to realize their ideas. So basically it's another platform but for the wider audience to gather support from our resources to realize their startup journey. And we are also promoting this in the Greater Bay Area beyond just Hong Kong so that we can have greater synergies within the vicinity of Greater Bay Area and also Hong Kong. I've already shared a little bit about New World Springboard, which is our social mobility program. And we also have a charity foundation where we do regular volunteering to really bring awareness to our employees. So beyond all the people that work in sustainability or in green buildings, we realize that other employees do also want to get involved, and we try to engage them through volunteering and getting closer to the community. And last year, we also launched a new Gen First Home program to help young people to try to own their first home with lower mortgage rates and lower deposit, because we realize that it might be difficult for first-time homeowners to do so. So we are trying to use different ideas to realize the caring aspect within the 4 pillars of our SV 2030. Beyond that, we also are very interested in incubating the art talent within a community. I think in Hong Kong, there's an up-and-coming art community, and we want to realize that the local artists are also heard and promoted through our platform. So at our existing K11 art mall, also in Tsim Sha Tsui and Hanoi Road, we often feature their art within our space as to give them a chance to showcase their work and to groom this kind of talent and for the greater community. So with all the effort that we do in the company and beyond, it doesn't mean anything if we're not benchmarked against global recognizable ratings and surveys. So we do a lot of work in that to make sure that we are moving in the right direction, and if there are gaps that we are not doing as well in, we use these kind of numbers to show our management and also our investors that we are at least moving in the right direction, and we invest in areas that we're less strong in. So every year we increasingly do more and more in terms of benchmarking and understanding what everybody else is doing in the world, so that we can continue to have more innovations and something more succinct to move forward to in the sustainability perspective. So going forward, we are doing a lot of work in trying to reduce energy consumption, but of course there's still more to be done. So we really want to try to make sure we have quantifiable targets, so we're not just saying we're moving towards a direction, but something that Hong Kong, both our Hong Kong portfolio and mainland China portfolio can move together. So we've set hard targets to try to work together towards by 2030. For Hong Kong, we are trying to reduce 37% reduction in terms of energy consumption, and also in mainland China, 22%. But this doesn't mean that if you're working in a China project, that project particularly has to reduce 22%. We have different businesses that have different KPIs. So in fact, in January, our team will go through different sites to really understand what they're doing first. And many of them already have innovative solutions, but they might not know how that contributes to the greater group targets. So once we take a stock take, and then we'll realize which areas we can improve in and try to close the gap if there is one. So we don't try to say, okay, we have all the answers, but really work together and try to push each other to do more in sustainability. So if you haven't had a chance to look into our sustainability and annual report, I would encourage you to do so. Each year, our annual report is published in October, and there's a big sustainability section within it. And my team is currently working on the next release of our sustainability report, which will be released in a couple of weeks. And there will be more information on how we try to do sustainability within New World, and some more case studies of how we've been able to achieve that. So in summary, for us, sustainability is really about working together. We realize it's not an easy task, and we try to get the voice of the customers, our stakeholders, our suppliers, our investors together to try to push the bar higher for everyone and try to deliver more. And I've talked about innovation many times within all of our different projects and initiatives, but within the green buildings, it's really easy to do a stock tick of a checklist. Okay, we've achieved this, 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 and that under the hardware. But if the tenants or the facilities management employees are not on board, then you're not really realizing the entire total sum of what we can achieve. So software is really, really important. Reduction of environmental impact must be done with urgency, and we realize that to mitigate climate risk, there's no time to waste, and we're trying to do more of a climate strategy going forward so that everybody can understand how they can play a part, because everybody has a role. And sustainability is a one-way journey, and the only way is up, and we can only do more and more going forward. And last but definitely not least, we don't want to just preach about doing good things and doing responsible business without having targets and without communicating numbers. So we will continue to quantify our impact and quantify our targets going forward so we can do more substantial positive change in our business community and in the community that we serve. So I hope that was a good overview for everybody to understand how we approach sustainability at New World. And I'm happy to take any questions from the floor. And thank you so much for your time and listening to what I've shared today. Thank you.